Welcome in to another edition of the Colts Squad Show. I'm Derek Schultz, and Jonathan Taylor ist kein Mensch. That's supposed to be Jonathan Taylor is the man in German.
And I'm Zach Hicks. I'm not even sure he's the man. I don't even know if he's human after what I just saw today.
I'm Alan Pinkett, former Oiler. At this point, can the Colts stand prosperity?
Colts Nation, rise up. It's the Colts Squad. Everything Indianapolis Colts every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Circle City, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to squad up. The Colts Squad Show starts now.
Thanks so much for joining us post-game after a Colts win here on the Locked On Colts Network. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I'm Derek Schultz. I've been a sports talker in Indianapolis for many years. I'm joined by legendary Notre Dame running back and former NFLer Alan Pinkett. And you everydayers know Zach Hicks, everyone's favorite film buff from Locked On Colts. And Jake Arthur will join us in just a few minutes. So we'll be at full strength here on the Squad Show. We are recapping a frustrating, exhilarating, entertaining game in Germany as the Colts outlast the Falcons in overtime. On the show today, we'll talk about just another historic day during an historic season for Jonathan Taylor. Wow. The day for Daniel Jones and new acquisition Sauce Gardner, which was less historic on both fronts for both of those guys. Week 9 studs and duds. That's what we do for the recap show every single time. We go through some of the good and some of the bad, and there was plenty of bad today, even though the Colts found a way against Atlanta. And like I said, the importance of gutting out these types of games when you're expected to be a contender like this, when clearly you aren't at your best, and the Colts were not at their best today in Germany, but still got the job done. But fellas, 244 yards, 3 more touchdowns. I know we're paid to talk, Zach, but I just don't even know what else to say about Jonathan Taylor. Just remarkable.
No, and I remember early in the season where it was kind of like my hot take saying this is the best version of Jonathan Taylor we've ever seen, because 2021 was just so special from him. So I was really going against the grain, saying like after the first 3 weeks being like, oh yeah, this is the best Taylor we've ever seen because he's doing it in so many different ways. I don't even think that's even like a conversation anymore. This is the best version of Jonathan Taylor we've seen. It's almost the best version of like a running back we've seen since what, Barry Sanders, it feels like, some of those LaDainian Tomlinson seasons, Adrian Peterson's MVP season, maybe. Like, this is absolutely insane what he is doing right now. I mean, this was a game where the Colts passing offense just could not get into a rhythm. They had a nice touchdown early, but for the most part, the passing offense was just not in the right place. And they were getting a lot of negative plays from sacks and turnovers, like just not enough there from the Colts offense. And they really had to lean on Jonathan Taylor from like the late part of that third quarter throughout the fourth quarter, and then obviously in overtime as well. And even with the defense knowing what was coming, knowing that these runs were coming to Jonathan Taylor, they simply couldn't stop it. And, the Colts O-line deserves some credit for a lot of these runs as well. There were a lot of big time holes there, but I mean, the 83-yard touchdown run, we were talking before we recorded, I really thought I was watching Barry Sanders, but like a bigger Barry Sanders. Like, wasn't that just a Barry Sanders run there? It was stuffed up in the middle, a little shimmy shake. And then once he gets to the corner, I mean, he's never looked this fast before. Even in college, even in 2021, I've never seen Taylor look this like nimble and fast. He is so explosive. And I didn't know if we were ever going to get this version of Taylor back following those ankle injuries the last couple of seasons. I thought, okay, cool. Like, he's got the vision, he's got the quickness, and he's not getting tackled for a loss, but he won't have the home run speed. That's perfectly fine. Like, you can live with that at running back. But his home run speed has been better this year than it's ever been. His ability just to like eat up angles and make it so, like, that was AJ Terrell on that angle, on that outside run. Like, that's a Pro Bowl level corner with like NFL speed, and he looked like a defensive tackle running after him in the open field. There was just nothing there for him, and Taylor was able to turn the corner and give the Colts a lead late. So, yeah, man, the level that he is playing right now, we've talked a lot on this show, like, is Jonathan Taylor the MVP of the league? And it's like, well, it'll be tough for a running back just because the way voters are and the way these things go. But, like, if he keeps this up, he's averaging 6 yards a carry, 189 carries for 1,100 yards at the week 10 mark. This is absolutely absurd what he is doing right now. And he was a big reason why the Colts were able to squeak out this win. So, yeah, I mean, I know we say there's not enough you can say about Taylor. Like, I'm saying all I can right now, but oh my gosh, he is playing some outstanding football right now.
The thing I appreciate most about the Colts is when he gets a nice run or he gashes them for 7 or 8, they leave him in, because the truth is when you get those runs, those positive runs, you don't get tired. You get energized, and you have a mentality, at least this is what I can remember when I played. You have a mentality that you can't be tired until you get in the end zone. So I'm glad that they don't just take them out. And I always frown upon running backs I see that'll bust a run for 25 yards and then go to the sidelines. So like, you didn't do anything yet, get to the end zone. So I really appreciate that they leave them in there, because you don't get tired. You do get a burst of energy, and your mindset is one that says, I can exhale when I get to the end zone or when I score. And so there are a number of superlatives that we could give Jonathan Taylor, but I do want to shout out to the offensive line, because they do create the space for him to make his magic happen, and the receivers do their part too. But that's all you want out of your offensive line, is give me a crease. I'll just make something happen from there. And this game sort of had a feeling of the game against the Chargers, but in reverse, where the Chargers were piling up all kinds of stats, but except on the scoreboard. Same thing was happening for the Colts. I mean, they finished the day with 519 total yards. When I looked at halftime, I'm thinking to myself, how the hell are they losing? Because they pretty much dominated the game. So, that therein goes the fact that stats don't matter sometimes, but scoreboard matters. And the Colts, to me, just remained diligent, never panicked, and just waited for their opportunity so that they could go seize one from a good Atlanta Falcons team. I mean, I know they're 3-5, but you look at the makeup of that team, and it just reminds me of back when I played, and I say it thousands and thousands of times. There's no bad teams in the NFL. There's only teams with bad records. Because when I'm watching Bijan and that other number 25, oh my God, that number Algier. 25 was just running over folks. And Penix, for the most part, I mean, he can throw that rock. So they have, and then Pitts and Drake London. I mean, that's a team that's supposed to be. Yeah, that's a team that's supposed to be atop of their division. So it just makes you admire what the Colts have done to this point thus far with the weapons that they have. They've been able to put it all together, and it's complementary football on offense, because when Jonathan Taylor is not able to gash him for some runs, then you got a Pittman, you got a Alec Pierce, you got a Josh Downs making plays. And I think today is the day that Tyler Warren made himself an All-Pro.
Yeah, and I really want to hype up Tyler Warren here, especially in the passing game, but also in the running game. There were several big runs by Jonathan Taylor where Warren was the fullback leading the way. The touchdown run at the very end of the game, there was 2 defenders that met Warren and Taylor in the hole. He drives out the outside defender, gives Taylor like a 2-way go essentially against the safety filling. Taylor's able to jab to the outside, break inside, and score that touchdown. And then on the 83-yard touchdown run, who were the guys leading the way on the outside? Tyler Warren and Alec Pierce running the whole 83 yards with Jonathan Taylor. So, I think Warren, I mean, aside from just what he was doing in the passing game, which was fantastic. I mean, that 4th down catch where the ball falls through his hands and he catches, oh my gosh, my heart fell out of my chest. I thought that was going through. It was awful. Then the big time catch to set up Taylor running the game away in overtime. Those were the 2 superstar players on the Colts today, were Tyler Warren and Jonathan Taylor. Alec Pierce had a great day as well. I don't want to downplay Alec Pierce. Yeah. But those 2 players were the guys who gutted out this win for the Colts, especially like all game long. Warren and Taylor were playing some great football. And both in the run, pass game, whatever it needed to be, those guys really stepped up.
And big ups to Josh Downs for giving up his number to Sauce.
I thought it was DJ Montgomery out there. It was throwing me off so much.
Yeah. It really threw me off when I saw number 2, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute here. But it's interesting with Taylor. early in the season, we talked about how it's almost like the box score looks great, but it doesn't even do it justice. I feel like we're having that same conversation now with Warren. It just feels like the tentacles of what Tyler Warren has brought to the table for this Colts offense it's just touched everything, Zach, hasn't it? I mean, just the entire operation, like $8.99 looks great on paper. You pull it up on a box score and you're like, oh, Tyler Warren had a big day because he had $8.99. And I'm like, his impact is so much bigger than just $8.99.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's like if you compare him to like what the 49ers always had with like George Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk, right? How those two players are just like throwback NFL players, run after catch tight end, blocking fullback, run after catch fullback. The Colts kind of have both those players in one with Tyler Warren, because he's not just the tight end. He's also the fullback for this team. And when they had to just like shift over to a more run dominant offensive attack in that third quarter, who was the guy leading the way on most of these runs? It was Tyler Warren getting back there. And like they ran a lot of ISO. They ran a lot of like outside zone stretch with Warren out in space. Those toss plays, getting Warren out in front of Jonathan Taylor. Like, it's not just the receiving aspect. He's been a fantastic blocker for the Colts, a blocker on the move. And also he just takes a lot of attention, a lot of looks from the defense, which opens up space for other guys on the outside. So yeah, Tyler Warren is so much better than what his stat lines have said this year. He is an all-pro in my opinion. Again, maybe not the most like perfect tight end traditionally where it's like, oh, he's this great separator and he's going up and winning in the red zone jump balls. But like, whenever he's tasked to do anything, he's doing it at a high level. And I say it again, that fourth down catch at the end of the game to get the sticks moving and set up Badgley to hit the game tying field goal. I don't know how many tight ends make that catch. That was a tough catch. I mean, it was basically the quarterback saying, I trust you, and throwing that ball high and outside and saying, go get it to my tight end. And he was able to go get that ball. So yeah, Tyler Warren was fantastic. That was 4th and 2. Yeah, there's a question. Was it 4th? That was 4th and 2.
4th and 2.
After, yep. I mean, and we'll talk about this in the second one when we talk about Jones. After Jones's big scramble, that 19-yard run to get them into that 4th and 2. Yeah, I mean, arguably the catch of the season for the Colts, because that's what helped. I mean, the game's over if he drops that. He goes up and wins that 50-50 and then creates another 10 yards after that catch too, to set up the field goal. Tyler Warren was just phenomenal in this game.
And this is my, I guess, first year legitimately watching the Colts full time. But it makes me think, what the hell were y'all thinking about last year when you had 4 tight ends, which was really no tight ends, in trying to execute a game plan with Jonathan Taylor and the other wide receivers? Tyler Warren just adds so much more, like you said, Derek. He's the piece that really makes this go. And if you look at, all their touches, Tyler Warren's touches, JT's touches, all the other, it doesn't look like they're getting the ball that much. I mean, yeah, JT got the ball 32 times. That was the, smoothest 32 carries I've ever seen. And when I see Tyler Warren, it's like he catches 2 or 3 a game, but he's still the leading receiver among tight ends in the league because of his production after he gets the ball. He's got strong hands, but he's like a gazelle when he gets the ball and he's able to run. And if you come from Penn State, you're going to learn how to run block, damn it. And so you're going to make sure they don't wear black shoes, for no reason. Just because they expect you to get your shoes dirty blocking. Yeah, so and that's a mentality too. That's why I didn't go to Penn State, because I didn't want to wear black shoes anymore. Black shoes make you look slow. But then,
I didn't know that.
Yes,
I didn't know the black shoe aesthetic.
I've kind of found out throughout my whole life that no matter the color of shoes, I feel kind of slow out there on the field. That's kind of my problem, but it is what it is.
Yeah, only person I've seen look fast in black shoes was Rocket. Rakib Ismail. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the only one, and I guess it's because he was running by everybody. But he had on black shoes. But yeah, I couldn't go to Penn State because they had to wear those black shoes.
Well, as much as we are praising the good from today, like Jonathan Taylor and Tyler Warren, there definitely was some bad. Daniel Jones fell into some of his old tendencies, and Sauce Gardner very much looked like the new guy in his Colts debut. We'll talk about each of their days next when the Colts Squad Show returns.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs. With features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance, you can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go, while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Welcome back to Locked On Colts Squad Show. Thanks so much for joining us after another Colts victory. Indy 8-2 heading into the bye after finding a way to win in overtime over Atlanta in Germany. And guys, like I mentioned, Daniel Jones, I think you would rather be in a position to be evaluating his play harshly after a victory than after a loss. That goes without saying. He made probably his best throw of the day on that game-winning drive in overtime, hitting Tyler Warren, who we just praised as well. And overall, accuracy-wise, 19 of 26 looks pretty solid, 255 yards. He did fumble 3 times and was fortunate to only lose one of those, and he was sacked 7 times. So I don't think you can just look at Jones's day in a vacuum, because I think there were some protection issues once again for the second straight week after he was sort of a pinata back there against Pittsburgh. I mean, Atlanta had quite a day, and they were very aggressive in bringing pressure. But Zach, what did you see from Daniel Jones today and your assessment now that we're past the halfway point of the season? And really after the Sauce Gardner trade, I think we would agree this is going to be the Colts guy here moving forward.
Yeah, I think there's 2 ways to evaluate how Jones played today. The first one is obviously that the offense, despite moving the ball, just had way too many timely mistakes. And at the end of the day, no matter what excuse or reasoning you want to make, the quarterback is at the head of all that, especially when you're talking about a veteran quarterback with the protection issues that were happening up front. There's a lot of these plays where the ball just needs to be out quicker, or there needs to be some kind of answer for him in the flat or in the shallow area. I'm not saying that every single sack is on the quarterback, obviously, but when you're a veteran quarterback who's been around and played as much as Daniel Jones, taking 7 sacks just can't happen, regardless of if you're putting me on the offensive line or you're putting these like Pro Bowl caliber guys out there who are having bad days. Whatever it's going to be, the ball just needs to be out on some of these plays. And I think, part of it is certainly coming down to Shane Steichen, Tony Sperano Jr., the O-line, and Jones all getting together over the bye week and just figuring out, like, how can we clean up this mistake? Because this is 2 weeks in a row. Alan's dog's having a really fun time there, but this is 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row where the teams have just blitzed them like crazy, put man coverage on the back end. And it's led to Jones holding the ball, just eating it a lot. And then the fumbles are happening. The fumbles just can't happen as a quarterback. They cannot happen. The screen fumble was probably his worst play of the entire season. That is just something that cannot happen as a quarterback. He checked into that screen because he saw the blitz was coming. That ball has to be out. That ball has to be out the second that you look at the screen. I don't care if a guy jumps in front, you throw it in the ground, or you fall down, or just protect the football. Anything but what happened on that play simply cannot happen. So yeah, Jones, I think we're going to grade this game pretty harsh, probably his second worst game of the season after last week. But the other end of this, the other side I really need to talk about is, at the end of the day, he played some great football in those last 2 drives that won the game for the Colts. This Colts team does not win this game without how he performed on those final 2 drives. The big-time scramble, the 19-yard run on 3rd and 21, when the play call was essentially 4 verts on the outside. There was 4 verts, try to find some leverage and hit it. There was no leverage there. He stepped up, scrambled for 19 yards, got busted in the face, blood running down his face, delivers a big-time throw to Tyler Warren. After that, Colts get the game-tying field goal, go into overtime, dials up a perfect throw to Tyler Warren on the outside, and lets Taylor run into the end zone after that. So at the end of the day, yes, there are a lot of things that we can critique Jones for in this game. It needs to be better, and they need to get together on the bye week and talk about how to handle pressure, because this has been the book on them the last 2 weeks has been man pressure calls have just really killed the Colts. And early in the year, they were very successful against that. I look at the Denver Broncos game where the Broncos brought the blitz a ton in that one, and they were able to find Josh Downs and Michael Pittman Jr. and Alec Pierce for a lot of big gains against that man pressure look. They need to find those answers again. But I like that the quarterback was able to be a big part of stealing this win, because he got punched in the mouth constantly all game long, fumbled, threw a bad interception. But on those final 2 drives, when the Colts needed him to step up, we got the big scramble. We got the 4th down throw to Warren. We got the throw in overtime to Warren. He did what you needed to do to win the game. So, yeah, I think it's a game where, like, analytics and statistically, it's a bad game for him. But football guys watch that and they're like, you know what? At the end of the day, that's the guy you go to war with. When you see what he was dealing with on those final 2 drives and how he performed, Alan, I really want to get your opinion on that, because that looks like something, if you're a football guy or a guy on the field with him, it's like, that's my quarterback right there doing those things.
Yeah, when I saw his bloody lip and he wasn't complaining about it, then that made me think, yeah, that's a guy that you can get behind, and a guy who is refusing to lose and going to do everything he wanted to win. But I go back to, I put some of this on the coaches, because the Pittsburgh game is on film and the mistakes were there for you to see. And all the other 31 teams have that film now. If you do not correct that stuff right away, you are promised to see it again. And they saw it again. And sometimes I think the trend in the NFL this week has been some of your big teams, they have like a 2-week lull and then they come out of it. I saw that happen to Buffalo, saw it happen to Philly. You just, all your problems are coming at you and it's taking a while to get out of them. And this had the makings of being in that 2-week lull until Daniel Jones was able to pull them out of it. So I think that you have to also take into consideration, I think I saw a stat somewhere, Atlanta blitzes on 56% of their defensive plays. So you're going to see the blitz. It's coming. Now, sometimes you do have to just take the sack and just live to play another down. But I think that there were some instances where, this should have been corrected in practice during the week so that he had a clear spot to go to. But I also want to give credit to the Falcons, because a lot of times their DBs were like squatting right at the yard line where the first down would be so they could break up the pass. And the ball was thrown to the location where it was supposed to be thrown, but they were there to make the play. So like I said, when it's on film, you have to correct it because you're going to see it again.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add real quick, and then I can let Jake, our newly arrived Jake here, just kind of chime in on Daniel Jones. But we are seeing a lot of comments here saying that, like, the O-line and pass protection was bad. It's all on the offensive line. It's not on Jones. Quarterback and offensive line work in tandem in pass protection. It's not purely on one or the other. There's a lot of plays where quarterbacks are hot or quarterbacks are reliant on their quarterbacks are making checks and calls and slides, especially this year too. I think Jones is very responsible for blitz pickups and slides and like where the offensive line is sliding. Bortolini does a little bit, but Jones is very involved in that. So it's something that all these guys have to be on the same page with. A lot of these pressures and sacks came on blitzes. And when those blitzes came, they just weren't able to find the right answers or find the solutions that were needed. So it's on all those guys. It's on Jones. It's on Steichen. It's on Sperano. It's on the O-line. They got to figure out these answers in the bye week.
Hey, boys. So it does seem like kind of a systemic thing. Like it's easy to point at Jones, I think, because he's turning the ball over. And like I do think there are some things he needs to clean up, like his ball security. It's gone completely lackadaisical. Like I feel like with he's got to understand that defenders now know they have to go for the ball when sacking him because it's very, very fruitful for them. So I know it's just kind of something in your DNA, and Alan, you know better than anybody. When you're running the ball, you probably have to train yourself and be incredibly intentional about what you're doing with the ball, because otherwise it's just natural instinct what you're doing. But defenders now know that it's very gettable for them. The ball is with Jones. Just from the start of the play with, the blitzing and being overloaded and everything, though, I agree. There's a lot of coaching that has to go into it as well. Like I'm sure you guys saw there were several instances where there was obvious pressure coming and the Colts maybe had an extra blocker involved, and the numbers were overwhelming. And then Jones is getting buried quickly, and there's a lot of stuff for them to figure out as a group. Because it's very obvious how defenses are going to attack them now. Like there's only so much you can do when the numbers just don't match, and defenses are bringing the numbers advantage. So between Jones taking care of the ball because he's getting strip sacked constantly, and I think Jonathan Taylor's come back down to earth a little bit in his pass protection, and then just Steichen and the play designers making sure they understand they need more protection against these more aggressive defenses. Everybody's just got to step up because the Colts got very lucky and fortunate to be able to get this back to overtime and win the game because they were trying to give it away at times.
Yeah.
So the schedule's about to get much, much tougher. I mean, you come out of this bye week in Kansas City against the Chiefs, and that's a great Spagnuolo defense there. So it's not like it gets much easier. So they get the bye week at a very, very fortunate time for them when it comes to self-evaluation.
And real quick, and then we can get to Sauce Gardner, but I have an easy solution for the Colts here. If you ever see a team is blitzing and they're in man coverage, only stare at Josh Downs and throw the ball to Josh Downs. Nothing else needed.
Sure.
Don't look at Tyler Warren. Don't look at Pittman. Don't look at Pierce. Only stare at Josh Downs and throw him the football. There's nobody in the league that can cover him one-on-one in man coverage with no safety help. It's such an easy solution. Just get back to it because that's what they did earlier in the season against the Denver Broncos, and it worked to great success. Just do that again, and we're perfectly fine.
Yeah, he's nicknamed first downs for a reason, right?
Second downs now because he's number 2. But yeah,
number 2.
That's right. Forgot about that. That threw me off big time. Yeah, let's talk about Sauce Gardner as well because anticipated debut. Obviously, one of our most watched shows we've ever had on the Locked On Colts network was when Jake, you and Zach went on right after the news broke on Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever that was during the middle of the week there. And kind of a little bit of up and down day. I mean, he almost had an interception, probably should have had an interception on a play that he made the right read on, but then back-to-back plays on the London touchdown and then the London 2-point. I know a lot of people were pointing out too.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a mixed bag, obviously. Like there were some plays where he's put on center stage and it didn't necessarily go his way, like some problems with footing and stuff as well. But I think you could look at what Lou Anarumo was doing as well and understanding that he had a guy like Sauce in coverage. I feel like he was able to, be a little bit more aggressive as well. We saw the Colts bring a lot of pressure, I thought, in this matchup. And you kind of get the freedom to do that a little bit as a play caller when you have a guy like Sauce there in coverage. Honestly, I thought it's taking away from the point, but I thought the bigger deal was Jalen Jones probably not getting as much play. But no, I mean, I'm willing to give it another week or two before we put the nail in the coffin on this trade. I know people are very, very reactive. And if there's not instant results or something even looks a little bumpy at first, it's time to get super upset about it, I guess. But it's going to be fine. Like the guy's been here for 5 days and then had to go straight to Germany, essentially. Was able to pick up the defense quick enough to even play and get on the field today. So it's fine. I mean, it wasn't the greatest, debut in the world. There was a couple warts out there, but it's going to be fine. I still think it was a very, very good move for them. The things Lou Anarumo is going to be able to do as a play caller, but then also just this straight up matchups. And then Atlanta did a lot to keep Drake London away from Sauce today. I mean, a lot of his damage was done by an example of them taking Sauce away from the coverage. So, it wasn't the best debut, but I'm not throwing in the towel on it. It wasn't the end of the world for me.
Well, it amazes me how, and this happens in the NFL. This is the business of the NFL. How you trade a guy, and the Colts have done it, with a number of players. They come in off the street. Next thing you know, they got the uniform on playing in the game. They don't even know the names of the other defensive players.
Right.
You know, they don't know their idiosyncrasies. There's no communication. But damn it, we paying you millions of dollars, get in there and cover the guy. You know, so one of the touchdowns that Drake London had where it looked like a bust by Sauce Gardner, and it probably was a bust, is because he doesn't have effective communication in the secondary to know that if a guy flashes in the end zone, he should leave his zone and go get that wide open guy in the end zone instead of, if he had communication, know that the safety is coming over to get that guy. Because I know Lou Anarumo was not going to construct a defense to put Pratt on Drake London in coverage. I know that, so I just think that in the business of the NFL sometimes, and the players know this is the way it is. It's a what have you done for me lately league. And if I trade for you, damn it, you're supposed to know what you're doing when I put you out there. That's why I put you out there. But I think he just needs a couple of weeks to learn everybody's name, to learn everybody's mannerisms, to even learn the defensive language. The defensive language isn't a universal language. Maybe there are a few key terms that everybody knows. I guess everybody knows what OSCE means. All right. Everybody knows what reverse means. But the communication in the background, that's a language all its own, and it's team by team. And until he gets that down, you don't want Sauce out there having to think. You don't want to play defensive back having to think. You want to just react. And when he's free to react and he can trust the other people back there, then you're going to see him stick like glue to a lot of receivers because he knows he's got some backup back there. But if you put him back there and just play man-to-man and do your job, I think you're putting him at a disadvantage, and you're going to get bad results.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it was a bad day overall. I think, like the touchdown was certainly his responsibility in that quarter's coverage, but that's why the Falcons threw it at him. It's his first week with the team. That's why they threw it there, just to test that comfortability. And then the 2-point conversion, he fell down. I mean, everyone's been falling on these fields. These fields are made for 100-pound soccer players. They're not made for 200 and 300-pound, NFL players. And they're very slippery and sloppy for NFL guys. And this is what we've seen in all these international games. But yeah, I thought Sauce played well. Should have had a pick on that third down play. The Colts had Michael Penix Jr. holding the ball for 3+ seconds on most of the dropbacks. I mean, that's without Mooney Ward. Forced the Falcons to have to hide Drake London on a lot of plays by using him in motion and using him in the slot and getting him away. And then when you get Mooney back, Mooney can just travel with those guys, and you can feel comfortable with Sauce on the backside. So nothing about today has me worried about Sauce Gardner. I feel perfectly fine with how he played.
We've got a few unheralded studs and a dud that kind of turned into a stud when it counted. We'll tell you who fell into what category when we play studs and duds next on the Colts Squad Show. This portion of the Colts Squad Show brought to you by Rippling. If you're a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS, that's SAD, software as a service, and that's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance, all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. By uniting your employees, teams, and departments in one system, Rippling removes the bottlenecks, busy work, and silos your software created. Whether you want to run your entire HR, IT, and finance operations as one, or just fill the gaps in your software stack, Rippling can do it all. And right now, you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/LockedOnNFL. Learn more at rippling.com/LockedOnNFL. That's rippling.com/LockedOnNFL for 6 months free. Terms and conditions apply. And we're back on the Locked On Colts Squad Show alongside Alan Pinkett, former NFLer and Notre Dame legend, and the Locked On Colts duo, Zach Hicks and Jake Arthur. I'm Derek Schultz, recapping Indy's 31-25 overtime win in Germany. Boys, let's talk some studs and duds here. Now, we've already mentioned a few of the studs like Taylor and Tyler Warren. I don't think we need to get deeper into that. Another stud, and I think actually this group looked better, and I was grading them a little bit of a curve because there was no DeForest Buckner today, and Grover Stewart was kind of in and out and banged up. I thought the pass rush, Zach, actually did okay. I thought they pressured Penix. And maybe part of that was the coverage that you mentioned, kind of making him hold the ball. So maybe that was a cumulative effort more than it was just the pass rush in general. But I was overall decently pleased with what we saw there.
I think the best thing we can take away from it is look what happens when this defense has had a number one corner for the first time since week 6. We haven't seen it since Mooney got hurt earlier in the season. And look what happens when you actually have that number one corner out there again. It makes quarterbacks hold the football. It makes your pass rush better. I think they would have even came away with more sacks in this game if, obviously DeForest Buckner was playing. And if Grover Stewart was healthy for the whole game, it would have got them into more 3rd and longs and 2nd and long situations. I think they played very well on defense overall. You want better results, obviously, on that end of the game drive from the defense where they got run all over. And, you wanted to see a little bit better there. But outside of that, I thought the defense played exceptionally well. Got that turnover early that resulted in 6 points, was huge for this game. The Colts defense overall I thought played really well. But we do see the value of just having Sauce Gardner out there. Just his presence on the field makes quarterbacks hold the football a little bit longer and leads to better pass rush. So, coverage and pass rush work in tandem. And a big part of that was the coverage playing well, which led to better success in the pass rush department.
I would just like to nominate God as one of today's studs.
The football god.
For keeping Grover Stewart safe and well for us. I was honestly floored that he came back into the game because it looked like he got knocked out on that play where he left to get value for the concussion. And I was like, no Buck, no Grove. Okay, great. Bijan Robinson, have a day, buddy. But no, I mean, luckily Grover was able to come back and. Sorry, Zach.
Sorry, I'm just dying over. I want to nominate God as a stud.
Yeah, I
need to mute myself now.
I'm super, super impressed by this defense's ability to stop the run lately. Like stopping like Jaylen Warren and what the Steelers had going was one thing. Like that's impressive to hold them under 2 yards per carry, but then to hold Bijan Robinson in check as you did. I mean, Tyler Algier he hammered it in the short game. Like I'm not going to take anything away from Algier. Like he did his thing, but it could have been a lot worse. Like any game the Colts go into without DeForest Buckner, I'm going to assume the opponent's going to run for 150 and have a really great game on the ground. And that's just not what happened. The linebackers, I think, continue to play mostly well. There's some occasional missed tackles and everything. But overall, it's really good. I wish some guys kind of in the back 7 could get off blocks a little quicker. But, I don't think anyone's like shying away from tackling or contact or anything. So overall, like I'm pretty encouraged because this was one of the tougher tests you're going to get in run defense. And I thought the defense did enough to keep the Colts in the game. Like the offense for the last couple of weeks continues to put them in bad spots. And for the most part, the defense is standing its ground.
And I don't want to be nitpicky, but you can be in a victory. And it's hard for me to pick an individual as a dud, but I was less than impressed with the defense overall, especially when they allow 140 yards rushing. But I think that it kind of magnifies how important DeForest Buckner is, his presence in there, so even though it takes 11 guys, to make a play, if one of those cogs is missing, oh my God, what a difference it makes. But, this Colts defense, they have a way of bending, but not breaking. But I think as far as a rushing performance today, Atlanta had their way with both of their backs. And, thank God that the Colts have an excellent offense to counter the Falcons offense, because I think their game plan was a pretty good game plan to try to beat the Colts. And, thank goodness the Colts are a mature enough team to know that, look, if we just stay persistent, and do our job, we're going to put ourselves in a position to win the game in the end. Sometimes it takes till the very end of the fourth quarter to win the game. You can't win it in the third quarter. So I think that getting Buckner back, which I guess being on IR right now, with instead of him missing 4 games, he'll only miss 3 because of a bye. Was probably pretty smart, but it's kind of signals to me that if they're going to put him on IR, it might be a little more serious than we think.
Yeah, no, for sure. I want to do rapid fire here on a couple studs, and then we can get back to our negative aspect that we love doing on this show for sure. Three studs, all because of the same thing they did. Josh Downs, Ashton Dulin, Amir Abdullah. The return game, the Colts were getting killed in the special teams department early in the game. From missed kicks, missed field goals, a couple holds on returns, were killing the Colts early in the game. But the big reason why they won late is they were getting just good field position because of their return game. Amir Abdullah, huge return. Josh Downs, a couple big returns in the punt game. And then Ashton Dulin, of course, had that one that got them down to the 44 as well. Zaire Franklin, I thought, was a stud in that overtime period. When you need your team captain to step up and make some plays, big tackle for a loss, shooting the A gap. Then you get that sack on third down, get the ball back to the offense. Awesome. And then obviously, I think the biggest stud is just the third down defense. The Colts' third down defense has been atrocious all season. It's been their biggest Achilles heel on that side of the ball. One game with Sauce Gardner, and we see them come back. Now, a couple of these were really, really bad misses from Michael Penix Jr. at quarterback, where, better quarterback probably makes some of those throws. But overall, I still think they did a good job of getting pressure on third down, having great coverage on third down, and it was the best third down defensive performance we've seen from the Colts in a long time. And it's a big reason why that game didn't get out of hand in the third quarter, while the Colts were just shooting themselves in the foot over and over again in that third quarter. The defense kept standing tall on third down to get off the field. So those are my couple studs I wanted to throw out there real quick before we probably talk about the kicker.
Yeah, and I wanted to, and we will mention the kicker because I know that's your favorite, Zach.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if this person falls into the stud or dud category, but I wanted to present this to the group because 31 points and they moved the ball all day. But did you guys have any issues with how Steichen handled some of the fourth down decisions and maybe some of the play calls that were sprinkled in there?
No, I mean, I think there was a time early in the game where you want to run the ball a little bit more when the passing game is getting punched in the mouth by the blitz. And obviously, we talked about it earlier, just getting on the same page with handling blitzes. But going forward on the fourth downs, I mean, I think that's just how you should operate in the NFL, especially when your kicker missed a kick early in the game. I think that even just makes it more like ready to go for it on fourth down. So yeah, we can be upset they didn't convert on those couple, but they were a big reason why they were winning games early in the season is because they were converting on fourth down so much. It's the only reason they had a chance against Pittsburgh last week is because they were 5 for 5 on fourth down. So yeah, if anything, I'm just going to criticize the result instead of the process, I guess, on that because they didn't get the first downs. But yeah, no, if you're under 4th and 2, go for it always in the NFL.
And sometimes you got to give the other team credit too. I mean, they pay them on that side of the ball too. They're going to make some plays, and I had no problem with the play calling per se. The plays they chose to run, but I think Atlanta did a hell of a job reacting to those plays and just played excellent defense. And it makes me wonder how the hell they're 3-6, making plays like that. But I do want to give you a high five on the third down defense by the Colts today because Atlanta was 0 of 8 on third down.
Suck it.
Not a single one. Wow, I didn't even know that.
The Colts were like 2 of like 14 as well. Like it was.
Well, it was ugly. It was an ugly day. Yeah.
I'll say real quick on the fourth down stuff. I think context is everything. The first one they went for that was turnover on downs. No problem with it. It's early enough in the game. That's in the Colts DNA to do it.
Yep.
But as the game progresses and you see it's going to be a little bit of a dogfight, and you probably need it. Badgley's missing 2 kicks, and you need every point that you could possibly get. I probably would have taken the field goal when the one where Jonathan got stopped on fourth down, like I think at Atlanta's 5, I probably would have gone field goal on that one. Just because, again, points were hard to come by at that point. early in the
Jake,
game,
why
that's
were
what
points
they do.
why were points hard to come by? Because the kicker had taken 4 points off the board at that
Well,
point.
you're also turning the ball over. You're getting stacked a million
I
times.
know. I just need to throw some kicker hate out there. But I will say, I didn't watch that final kick to go to overtime. I had my eyes closed behind a wall that's connected to my living room.
Fair.
Terrified. My hands were shaking. I was only listening to the commentators. And then I heard them all get loud. And I was like, I don't know if that's good or bad. This is technically a home game for the Colts, but who knows what that means?
I literally had written my tweet to say that it was no good and that the Colts fell 25-22. And then he made it. I was like, okay.
Michael Badgley, dud and then stud, right?
Yeah, like basically the same special teams with the Colts, right? All day the special I think like the first quarter and a half, special teams were a complete dud for the Colts. But honestly, a big reason why they won the game after that is because special teams were studs down the stretch. Badgley making those couple kicks, big returns, big kick coverage. Oh my gosh, the kick coverage was awesome in this game. You know, from the I mean, I think their average starting field position was like the 21-yard line, 22-yard line. It felt like special teams helped them win this game after setting them back a good bit early. Special teams was huge after that.
The other thing I'll throw in there is I think all the young guys in the NFL should take a look at the specialists that the Colts have, because you can make yourself a lot of money not carrying the ball 20, 30 times a game or playing 80 plays a game, but in those little spots where you get a chance to shine, making a play, you can stay in this league a long time.
Laquan Treadwell, 3 special teams tackles today. Look at that, man. The new Ashton Doolin at 30-something years old.
Amir Abdullah, they've been in this league a while, and they understand the more you can do, the more valuable you'll be. And you don't have to be at a Pro Bowl level to make an impact.
Yeah. Treadwell, get that game check, baby. That always hits hard when you're a practice squad guy. Whether it be good fortune or Jake's tribute to the man upstairs, I don't know. The Colts found a way to win. We'll talk about why today's victory might be looked back upon as one of the most important wins of the 2025 season next on the Colts Squad Show. This portion of the Colts Squad Show brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score to the fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a lot of fun and a bigger shot at a big payout that keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel. Again, new customers, $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel.com. Sign up today, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We're back for a final time here on the Locked On Colts Squad Show alongside Zach Hicks and Jake Arthur of Locked On Colts and Alan Pinkett, former NFLer. I'm Derek Schultz. Colts win 31-25. They are 8-2 going into the bye. And I think every season has this game that maybe sort of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit, even though it's going to be hard to lose a 244-yard, 3-touchdown game from Jonathan Taylor in the shuffle, right? I think people will remember that performance and the fact that it's in Germany. But you know, guys, bigger fish to fry coming up here, right? The Chiefs, the Seahawks in Seattle. God, they got to go to Jacksonville, which they have to do every year. And we know what a nightmare that's been. I don't think people viewed Atlanta in that way, but it feels like this is the sort of game that if the Colts are going to be more than just, it's a cute story. They're 11-6. They win a crappy division and they get to the divisional round. If they're going to be a true contender, these are the types of games that you have to win, right, Zach? Where clearly it was not their best day, right? And there were a lot of, as Jake mentioned, really ill-timed errors, but they still found a way. And that's really all that matters at the end of the day. Who cares about the style points?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you're winning every single game this way, especially against like teams that are worse record-wise than you, then sure, we can point out to flaws there. But in the NFL, man, like Alan always says, there's no bad teams. There's just bad records in the NFL. These are still like the best in the world at what they do. And every team is due for off weeks and off moments and off games. I mean, the one I always go back to is like, look, the 2022 Colts are one of the worst teams I've ever seen play football. They were just awful, just disgusting. Who did they beat earlier in the season that year? The Kansas City Chiefs with Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Like they beat them early in the year with that. Jelani Woods, multiple touchdowns in that game. So anyone can beat anyone in the NFL. A big part of it just for a team like the Colts is like, if you can steal wins like this when you don't have your best day. I mean, how many times, I know the Colts had way more yards in this game, but how many times in the NFL does a team win when they have more turnovers, more sacks taken, and they commit more penalties? Not many times. That is a recipe for losing against pretty much every single team in the league, but they were able to steal this victory and get what they needed to and get another win on the board. And that's the difference between a 10-win team and a team that just missed the playoffs. That's the difference between the number 1 seed and the 4 to 5, 6 seed. You know, like these are the most important things, is stealing these games that you don't deserve. It's why the Chiefs are always getting up to 14, 13 wins every single year when it doesn't feel like they're that good, because they find ways to steal wins like that. So yeah, it's a testament to a good team, and also a testament to a quarterback that just fought his butt off all game long. I really don't want to praise him like over top, like, because this is not the best version of Daniel Jones we've seen all year, right? He's played some very, very good football, and he's in a bit of a rough stretch the last 2 weeks, but you got to give credit where credit is due. And him with that big scramble and those 2 throws to Warren, and then Taylor obviously running the game out, like that's winning football right there from your quarterback and your star player on offense. And you have to commend that stuff. You know, we always said the last 2 years with Anthony Richardson, like no matter how bad the first 3.5 quarters were, he would always like turn it on in that last half or whatever of the fourth and give the Colts a chance. Well, that's kind of what Jones did today, where it's like there were issues early in the game and not the best moments from him. And ball security is still a big thing, but to really put it on the line there at the end and win that game for the Colts, like a big part of winning that football game was Daniel Jones just putting his body on the line and making some big time throws. Like that's the difference again between a non-playoff team and a playoff team, because the margins are so close in the NFL. This isn't college football where, you know, you are playing these FCS teams every other week, or, you know, Ball State, and not to hate on Ball State, but, you know, Ball State and stuff like that. If you're Alabama playing like Ball State, you know, it's a different thing. In the NFL, the margins are so close, you know, no matter who the best team is or the worst team is. So you have to steal games like this, even if it's not your best day. And that was big by Jones and the Colts to get this win. Gutsy performance. Now let's get into this bye week, get healthy, get Ward back, and get ready for the gauntlet the rest of the way. But it's great to be 8-2 instead of 7-3 for sure.
Yeah, if they're squirreling away some of these wins when they're not even going to be at full strength yet, like the fact that Buckner should be back and Mooney Ward should be back to join this defense that's had some really nice moments while shorthanded, that's really encouraging for me. But I kind of learned some things about Daniel Jones today too. I mean, I assumed this was just going to kind of roll out into a lot of the same as what the Steelers game was, after it looked like there was going to be some ugly moments in this one. And I even said to myself, well, on the Colts' final drive of regulation, I was like, he's going to throw a pick on this drive. I literally almost I almost texted you guys that, because I was like, you know, we've seen from him when he forces things in moments where the Colts are coming from behind, he'll throw a pick, or, you know, he's had a handful of strip sacks already in the last couple of weeks. I thought he was going to kind of crumble, I'll be honest with you. So I'll give him more credit. The runs were incredibly gutsy. Like he had a few of them throughout the game that were really, really meaningful. He made some big throws, you know, obviously the one to Tyler and overtime, but also the one that got reviewed where Tyler dropped it. It wasn't the best placement of the throw, but it was that would have been a big completion when the Colts needed it in that moment. They were able to overcome that anyways. But yeah, I was impressed to see that he didn't just roll into a pumpkin the rest of the way. And he's a little unflappable. I didn't know he was going to be unflappable because, you know, New York, Daniel Jones, like once it went wrong, you know, and it kind of snowballed. But he was able to shake off some problems to lead this team back to a victory. And this is, God, what, like 3 or 4 fourth quarter comebacks now for him this season? Like, dude's got something to him.
Yeah, and this game today was, I think, a good example of what the playoffs feel like. I mean, it's punch, counter punch. and you got to be able to get up off the mat because the other team is good enough that they can land some blows. But then you got to be able to land some blows too. But I say that just to bring this point up. It is very rare in the NFL to be able to control your own destiny. And the Colts have put themselves in a position, being the number 1 seed. Remember, back before the season started, we had these goals of win your first game, win your home games, win the division, and then get in the playoffs, hopefully get in the playoffs, because that's all you want is a chance to be in the playoffs so you can make a run. Well, now the Colts have accomplished some of those things. And what happens is you believe you can do them. And then once you do them, now you have confidence you can do them. And trust me, you want to get to the Super Bowl, the easiest path is making everybody come through Indianapolis. And right now, they've put themselves in a position where if they continue to handle their business, the road to the Super Bowl is going to have to come through Lucas Oil Stadium. And, that is what's going to enable them to play better, to play with more confidence, to play with more gumption, because they are in a position to control your own destiny. And that's a powerful thing when you know you can control your own destiny, because other teams are scratching and clawing and doing whatever they can just to get a shot. Now you've already created the opportunity for yourself. Now you can really thump some people because you've got the confidence and you can put them down. So that's what today meant to me, is right to wrong from a week ago, but send a message that you're not to be played with and you will be a contender, come January.
Yeah, Colts moved to 5-0 now at home this year, so their home turf of Lucas Oil /
That
Berlin. The Colts are now 5. Yeah, it was a home game.
It was a home game.
Yeah,
I knew technically, but in playoff slotting, that's big. Okay.
Colts 5-0 at home this year. Fewest points they've scored at home in a game this season is 29 against the Denver Broncos, who are a top 3 defense in football. And to kind of reiterate my point about the NFL just being very much a week-to-week league, we're recording right now, so we haven't really been able to check, but the Miami Dolphins are up 16-0 over the Buffalo Bills currently. Over the Buffalo Bills, the darling, the Super Bowl favored Buffalo Bills. But that's just how the NFL works. Not every game is a given. So early in the season, like when people were saying the Colts, they're just beating all these bad teams. They're beating the bad teams, that's still, that's part of playing in the NFL. And sometimes you'll have games like this where, yes, the Falcons are a 3-6 football team. And no one's going to say that the Colts just beat a juggernaut type team today, but you have games where you're just not on your best football, where you're not playing your best football, and you need to be able to gut a game out. And we're seeing right now that the Buffalo Bills are going to have to try to gut out this win against the Dolphins currently in the same week where the Colts had to gut this one out against the Falcons. The difference between great teams and good teams are the teams that can find a way to steal these games. It's why the Chiefs have been a borderline dynasty the last half dozen years, because they've been finding ways to really fight back in these type of games where they don't have their best football in front of them. And the Colts showed it today that they are capable of winning these games. I think we kind of saw it a little bit last week too, where against the Steelers, they were still right there for most of that game, despite, again, having just the game from hell. I mean, as Jake said earlier, God was not their friend last week, so they really had to in that game last week. But this week, they had some ball luck on their side. They were doing some good ones there, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to fight through this adversity in the NFL, because every game's adversity, no matter who you're playing, you can play the worst team or the best team. There's going to be adversity and you got to find a way to fight through it. And the Colts did a fantastic job of winning today, especially, again, in these overseas games are so just up in the air and gross. And again, they make these fields for 100-pound soccer players. They don't make them for NFL guys. They really aren't. They play really fast and they're very slippery. And you see a lot of injuries over there and just sloppy football. So to get a win in this one, I think it's huge for the Colts.
Yeah, and look, 6 turnovers, you lose by 7. That's telling you something, all right? You're doing something right. And today, two turnovers, and you're still in the game and can still win. Remember, the old saying is 3 turnovers you should lose, 4 you're going to lose. So they didn't get to that third one. But like I said, they were persistent and they put themselves in position, and they were mature enough to know, okay, we'll win this game at the end of the fourth quarter. We don't have to win it in the first quarter.
No, true there. And they lost the turnover battle again and ended up finding a way. And that's what it's all about. 8-2 heading into the bye. Thanks for joining us on the Colts Squad Show. We're your place for live game recaps following each and every Colts game this season, but we're still going to have a Wednesday show during the bye. We're still going to have a Sunday show during the bye. 9 o'clock on Wednesday, and we'll talk to you Sunday as well. We'll have plenty to talk about. Collectively catch our breath a little bit. I don't know. We got kind of spiritual, I feel like, on the show today, so maybe we'll do some more meditation and talk more Colts football. But until Wednesday, follow us on socials at Locked On Colts and check out our other great content on YouTube and TikTok. And we'll see you next time right here on the Colts Squad Show.